Hey everybody, welcome to Why We Love Horror TV, episode 10. We're covering the season finale of Dexter Original Sin. I am JWMaher, that's Fiorella Maher. And that's Aaron Brooks by himself. How's it going, Aaron?
I'm doing well. Abby is not the latest victim of Brian or Dexter, but yeah, I'm doing well and excited to talk about the last episode of season 1 of Dexter Original Sin, which was nice going into now.
I think, going in like the season, we thought it was just like a one and done kind of thing, just kind of like how New Blood was. But I guess through the course of the season, they kind of decided. Do you think they always thought it was going to be more than one season, or you think?
I would think so, but like just because I don't feel like it radically shifts gears, or it might radically shift gears in between seasons, and that would kind of make sense. Honestly, like I have some thoughts about Brian and everything with him.
Let's check out the promo first, and then we'll jump into our theories. Here we go. Code Blues.
I've always been more comfortable in darkness. Thanks for being here, Deb.
Unfortunately, I've become quite the expert on this hospital bedside manner shit.
Morgan, I just got a page. The news chopper spotted a body on the roof of a building. The body was cut into 6 pieces.
She was alive when it happened.
What kind of monster would do this?
Where's Dexter?
What kind of monster are you?
Dexter Original Sin season finale.
Yeah, so some of that stuff's kind of hit on in the trailer there. I think my biggest takeaway is really just kind of something we were already talking about. Now that we know it's a 2-season show, there's a really big gap of time between this and season 1 of Dexter when like Brian's clearly going ham, in season 1 of Dexter. So there's years in between where he's got to be actively terrorizing Miami, I would imagine.
And Harry knows about it, though.
And Harry knows about it, yeah. He's dead.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Fiorella? And then I'll kind of go into mine.
I'll be honest. So in the beginning of the episode, I got very, very angry, and I was going to deduct so many points from this episode because I'm not. Yes, I do love the story about Brian, the background about Brian, learning more about him, but I didn't like him as a narrator. It put me off. So if season 2 is going to go more towards it's Brian narrating and a little bit of Dexter narrating, I am going to be completely turned off. That was one of my initial takeaways. Other than that, I guess we'll be talking a lot about like the foreshadowing. I think the scene that kind of hit me the most and like to my gut was when Angel was speaking with Harry and talking to him about how like, hey, like don't beat yourself up that you didn't know, you were too close. Like, yeah, the sergeant's a bad guy, but you didn't know that. Because that is just painting a picture for the Resurrection series, I feel like. And it's gonna hurt a lot to see what Angel's gonna go through. So those were my 2 major takeaways.
Yeah. No, I that's interesting. I kind of didn't really pick up on that too heavily, but I thought it was I thought I kind of did what I hoped / expected it to do, I guess, with a lot of the storylines, like Captain Spencer coming to the end. It just kind of, it had to end. It just ended, and it ended pretty neatly at the end of the end of it all, which makes me kind of go back to earlier in the season. I talked a lot more about like the unreliable narrator that's Dexter. I feel like some of these scenarios are not how it really happened, and making Dexter look like an absolute hero, like having the Scooby-Doo moment where he's like, either you save the child or you catch me, but you can't do both. Like that's literally how Scooby-Doo. Like
right.
It's just, and I thought stood out a lot, and I don't think it's bad writing. I think it's bad narrating by design, because I do think Dexter has told a lot of half to quarter truths throughout this season, which I feel like in Resurrection, I don't know if we're going to see it or not. One of my other takeaways was the negative, I guess. I was expecting another tease to Resurrection here. We started with him in the back of the, police car, and like, that's all we got this whole season. And I get Resurrection's coming in 3 months. I can, wait, but that was like, felt a little sloppy to me at the end, which makes me wonder, if this was meant to be one season originally, and they started to get the idea as it went along, as John kind of alluded to.
I think one of the other big things that we saw was Dexter is real lucky, huh? Like, he guessed correctly that when he blew up Spencer's plan, that Spencer was just going to go to his ex-wife's house and like go nuts. But like the luck of Dexter to get in the house when nobody sees, like, it's a house he's never been in before. He doesn't know the layout of the house, doesn't know what's going on, but he gets in just in time to take out Spencer and nobody sees him, is like 0.01% chance of happening.
Another thing about this is a very out there theory, but whatever. Maybe a lot of this never really happens, and it's really happening in Dexter's head, like big time. And it goes.
Where's Captain Matthews?
Where's Captain Matthews? Also, like, if when Dokes becomes the Bay Harbor Butcher, which, spoilers to Dexter if you're somehow watching this pure, sorry, we'll put up the spoilers, but. Like, if we're to believe that Miami Metro has this like serial killer, this would be the second time now no one ever mentions, including LaGuerre, like nobody ever mentions that how Spencer, Captain Aaron also had this within Miami. It's not even ever mentioned.
Well, I guess he's not really a serial killer though. He killed one kid.
Okay,
Well,
he's almost two.
Almost two.
Yeah.
Almost two, and he killed a kid.
Yeah.
Like, you think this would be brought up even,
But you could kind of like hide that under like real life, like the blue wall. Like, they're not going to talk about that as much as they talk about like how
they may just cover that up and say it was a cartel killing, and that way they look better. Like, Miami Metro looks better if it is a cartel killing.
Yeah, we're getting that's just, but so maybe it did happen. All right, I'll concede it happened, but it's just like you said, everything is going one way, and it's just like very lucky and everything. And there's still a lot that hasn't been uncovered. And I don't know if that's going to happen in either show. I don't know how much Resurrection is going to connect Original Sin into Original Sin, other than that first little teaser moment doesn't really connect to Resurrection. It's just,
I think the big reveal of Original Sin, if it goes 2 seasons or 3 seasons, whatever, is that Harry didn't commit suicide. Brian staged it. I think that is probably what we're going to see.
oh, that's okay.
Like, because like, I can't see Harry killing himself knowing that Brian is running free.
yeah, right. And also, like, there's no real hints of Harry being this like disturbed by Dexter. Like,
Right. And actually, I think like in this episode,
which is
you
convenient
get his
for Dexter.
blessing. Yeah, you get like his full blessing. Where like Dexter at the end, I forgot, I'm gonna misquote it, but he said something like, "Yes, Harry's code is like kill. You shouldn't. I would wish you wouldn't kill anyone, but if you're gonna kill someone, it's worth the lives of others." Like, that was
like Dexter made the decision to save the kid over pursuing Spencer, and that made Harry happy, even though he killed one of his friends.
and the partner that survived the police
and Bobby.
and Bobby. Yeah, I think
Bobby is still alive. How do we feel about that? Am I gonna have to be the bad guy again by wanting someone I know who's gonna die? Like, where's Bobby go? He's gonna get
Bobby
killed.
is the Dewey Riley of.
He's gonna retire. He's gonna retire happily in Key West, and he will be fine.
And then Brian's gonna kill him.
Yeah, exactly. Brian's just like so.
Brian might kill him. Think about it. He was Harry's partner when his mother was.
Yeah, that'd be his revenge tour, and then
he is doing a revenge tour for sure.
Yeah.
He's gonna.
And then the other thing he has to do is disappear for like however long.
Years.
So yeah, exactly. So he doesn't contact Dexter. So for some reason he chooses to leave Dexter alone. Well, he goes somewhere else to become a better serial killer. I don't know. So like, I'm not sure like what they do if we do see Brian anymore, other than like for these last few, or if he keeps popping up, or if he's going to be like, I'm curious what they do with him. I see him a little more interested in the Brian story than at least Fiorella. But like, I actually liked the narration. I thought it being so off was like, worked for me because it is off. We've been in one person's subconscious for 9.5 or 10, however many seasons of a show at this point. So, like,
do you know what I think I think I totally see what you're saying, because I tried this episode to go into it, and the last 2 episodes, to go into it and be like, yeah, maybe Aaron's right, and John and I are bad people for thinking Dexter is like a good guy. He just does bad things, right?
Dexter thinks he's a good guy, or wants to think he's a good guy, and that's the perspective we're seeing the show from still.
So I'm still like, I was kind of getting away from that, but then I think the beginning of this episode was so gory with how Brian does. They're both the same monster. They really are. They both do the same thing, but like how gory Brian did it as opposed to like Dexter. And I'm like, Dexter's right though. Like he is choosing the lives of good people, whereas Brian is just killing people to kill people.
Brian also killed people that screwed him over, with the exception of maybe the psychiatrist.
That's
like
true.
all those people physically abused him. Everyone, like, you know, the social worker like basically condemned him to that life. The one kid locks him in the closet. The other kid steals his food. Weird that they all grew up to be male prostitutes, but whatever. Like he found them all.
Which are people that Dexter might have killed too, if like they
Oh, yeah,
continued.
and we saw the nurse stole his medicine, and like he was supposed to.
The nurse was terrible.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone did something, with the exception the psychiatrist. I can't justify. Everybody else, I can kind of understand why he did it.
No, and yeah, I guess that's fair. But yeah, I'm just curious to see what they do with Brian in season 2, because he has to eventually distance himself. And it felt like when he was watching them dance, like it felt like he was kind of saying goodbye from afar as he watched them dance. So
yes,
like for me, I'm not sure if they're going to just turn Brian into this mustache twirling, like killing everybody except Dexter and then leaving him behind type of person. It might just kind of happen in the way that, I don't know. I'm not really sure how it's going to happen. I think it could be, they could play it like a fallout of, Spencer being gone and him realizing what a monster he's harboring, and Bobby's going to say something wise to him and like break, I don't know. And Bobby goes and retires. I've always just figured Bobby was going to die. So if he retires, I'd actually be happy to see that, I guess. But I think he's done.
The other thing that we've been kind of talking about all season is just how neatly and quickly they kind of wrapped up Deb's storyline. It's like, yeah, I'm a cop now. Like, I'm gonna be a cop now. Like everything that happened to me, I just decided in one conversation, I am going to go to the police academy and forego my entire life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, in that, maybe that's another convenient but clever way of playing that this is Dexter's perspective, which Deb is always third or fourth most important to Dexter, even when she needs him the most. Like, so maybe it's like a kind of a meta way of pointing out. It's just like kind of yada 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 her story after a second there. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like I really like this show. So like I'm looking for a lot of ways to make a little bit more out of the end than maybe's there. But that's what's fun about talking about it at this point, because like otherwise we're breaking it down just to Spencer gets killed, Deb turns down Florida State. Like there's more to it than just what's happening, at least for us, because we have an emotional context to the character at this point. Know where he's going to an extent, but not how he got there.
Yeah. I'm just like taking like, stock of like what needs to be resolved in season 2, right? So we know Tanya doesn't exist in the future. Bobby doesn't exist in the future. Officer Clark doesn't exist in the future. Sophia doesn't exist in the future. And Gio doesn't exist in the future. So these are like 5 different people. We got to figure out what happens to them because they are not characters in Dexter.
No, I think Gio he's not coming back.
He's coming back.
I would say Gio's coming back.
You think so? I don't think he's coming back. I
think especially once Deb's involved with the with Miami Metro, he's probably going to use her as an in and like be like, I know, and like a little, angle there where she has to choose between her duty and her honor and what all that, which she always chooses right, and then Dexter's probably going to kill him.
Yeah.
There's also the episode where Dexter officially gets hired as a member of the Miami Metro. He was just an intern before it. In this episode, he's a full member of the forensic team.
Yeah. And he gets a bunch of papers and like he's like, a new batch of victims to look through.
And so his laminate. Let's not forget the laminate.
Yep. And the laminate. We're gonna see a lot of killing next year from next season from Dexter. Wow.
And Brian.
And like another thing that I think will boil over next season is like LaGuardia's going to stop covering for Harry. because like he totally bailed on the crime scene.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, Harry, and like that's like strike two.
Yeah.
You know, so that's gonna happen next season too.
Yeah, no, that's like one of my best surprises so far about season 1 is how much it's like, I guess, like given more texture and like depth to the beef between LaGuerta and Dexter. Ultimately, that's always there, and how that culminates. It's like pretty tragic story for LaGuerta, like because she's on the right track with both of them, and like gets punished for it in multiple ways. So, like really good stuff from LaGuerta throughout, like especially the second half of the season. I feel like she picked up while I'm like on hell for me, didn't quite give it to me. Masuka's Masuka, you know, like Deb really lost momentum by the episode for me, unfortunately. But I feel like LaGuerta is like the highlight of the season for me of the side characters.
Maybe next season we get a young Dokes. I don't know. We'll see. Could happen. I don't know if they're going to play him. I hope they do good casting for Dokes.
They'll do.
Anything else for this episode?
Well, before we go to ratings, I do want to bring up too, and I know we talked about this earlier in earlier episodes, was how wonderful I think the soundtrack, the like bringing us back to the 90s, like as a kid of the 90s, I thought it was stellar. Like I'm adding points. I think I added points every episode because of that. And I'm so glad that you brought up the dancing scene at the end, because actually I don't know if you guys would know or paid attention. First of all, that song is my jam. It's a great Spanish song.
Yeah.
Second of all, though, if you listen to the words is about family and how when you lie to them constantly, you're just going to make them cry and cry and cry and die. So then there was one part that they like zoomed in on Brian when it specifically said the family, they will lie and lie and they will cry. You will make them cry and cry. And they zoomed over to him. So I just wanted to point that out. So
no, that's right.
Thank you, bilingual correspondent.
Yes,
yeah, that's some good stuff that I did not know. So I see, this is there's more to this show than meets the eye. And I think it will, you know, gain more as we get these other prequels and sequel series. So yeah, I'm excited about where this goes.
We could dive into these ratings then. I'm not sure if we're doing the whole series or just the episode, but I think let's do the episode first, then we can decide about the season. So I know Abby's not here, but you have her rating in absentia. What did she say?
Yeah, so for this episode, I think she was looking for a little bit more. I did confirm with her before this. Her rating is a 3 out of 5 for this episode, actually. I think that it was a little bit basic for her, and I kind of agree, and I'll just go into my rating next. My rating is a 3.5. This is a 5-star conversation on this episode, but I can't rate the episode based on kind of the things that we bring from with the themes and whatnot. I think it was so well executed. It's above average, and throughout the season, I had a good time, but I was left wanting a little bit more, and I'm not sure what that is. That's what I wanted them to provide to me. So for me, I just was, I feel like the 9th episode is where we peaked and then we dropped off a little on the final episode, which happens a lot with great shows. But yeah, 3.5 still really good time.
What do you think?
I'm so predictable. I'm sticking to a 4. I see what you're saying. I kind of think they left it where I'm okay waiting until next season. Like I was happy with how it ended.
A big surprise for me. I really, really like this episode a lot. This is actually might be my favorite episode of the 10th episode. So I'm actually on the size of 4.5 on this one.
Nice.
I just like the way everything wrapped up. Yeah, some things did feel rushed, but it didn't feel unrealistic. I definitely buy into the fact that maybe we're just getting a sugar-coated version of the history. But this fit, it tied it up real neat. There were answers to a lot of questions, but asking new ones, knowing we're going into a second season. So I think if it's a 2-season show, this is kind of how you want your bridge episode to be. So that's where I'm at. Well, if you made it this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Go to the Facebook group at Why We Love Horror. Go here to the Letterboxd challenge and join us in watching all kinds of horror movies throughout the year. We'd love to hear about that. Schedule here is usually the same. This is airing on Tuesday this week, but normally these air on Sunday. I don't know what we're doing next week, but we'll figure it out. Monday is Versus. Thursday is Why We Love Horror, and Friday is Why We Love Horror Trivia. So until next time, I am John Maher. This is my wife, Fiorella, and that is Aaron Brooks. And we'll see you next week on Why We Love Horror TV.